السلام السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب زدني علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم. I welcome you all to the class of دروس اللغة العربية لغير ناطقين بها, and we are still in the first unit. So inshallah, let's continue. We are in the tamarin. So for the exercises, inshallah, we'll be using the answer book, inshallah. So that will be help us to save time. Naam. Because several exercises are a little complicated many times. Naam. And so we'll be using the answer book. It'll help us. This is the key. Now, حل التمارين, we'll be using the key, the حل التمارين إن شاء الله تعالى. So, عين المعربة والمبنية فيما يأتي. Point out the معرب, and these are easy ones, but still we'll look at, so that it will give us a reinforcement and it'll be helpful for us. Point out the معرب and the مبني in the following words. So help me with this, inshallah. كتاب معرب المبني. كتاب معرب المبني. So you can write one for معرب and two for مبني. Maybe it's easier. كتاب معرب مبني. نعم معرب. هذا معرب مبني. مبني. حامد معرب مبني. Yeah, معرب. مساجد also معرب, but it is غير منصرف. غير منصرف. هو is مبني. All the pronouns, I'm just telling. أنا is also مبني. سيارة معرب. الذي معرب المبني. Mabni, correct. Allazi is Mabni, except the duals, right? Allazani and Allatani. It is Mabni. Amsi. What's that? We reached to? I don't know what word that. Amsi, the word after Masajid. Yeah, Masajid. Naam. It's Morab, right? It's not Mabni. Ila Masajida. غير منصرف. Amsi is Mabni. Amsi is Mabni. Al Jamia is Mu'rab. Muslimun Mu'rab. Muslimatun Mu'rab. Hadani. This is also Mu'rab. Al-ana. How about this? Al-ana. Al-ana is Mabni. Correct. Al-latani. Mu'rab. Man is Mabni. Allah Mu'rab. Arba'at ashara. Mabni. Arba'atun Mu'rab. Amin. Amin is Mabni again. Right? You can see. Kitabun Mu'rabun. Hada Mabniun. Hamidun Mu'rabun. Masajidu Mu'rab. هو مبني. أنا مبني. سيارة معرب. الذي مبني. أمسي مبني. الجامعة معرب. مسلمان معرب. مسلمات معرب. هذان معرب. الآن مبني. اللتان معرب. من مبني. الله معرب. أربعة عشر مبني except 12 all numbers are مبني the 11 to 19 ones. أربعة معرب أمينة مبني. نعم. نعم. ما علامة الإعراب الأصلية في الاسم؟ What is the علامة الإعراب الأصلية في الاسم? Anyone? Primary endings of a noun. علامات الإعراب الأصلية. Yeah, what are the endings of معرب noun? Yeah, ضمة فتح كسرة. نعم. الضمة, it is فتح ضمة كسرة, right? These are the primary endings. This is what we learned last time, right? وهي علامة الرفع. ضمة is the علامة الرفع. الفتحة وهي علامة النصب. فتحة is the علامة النصب. الكسرة وهي علامة الجر. Right? كسرة is the علامة of Majroor. So fatha dhamma kasra are the primary endings, right? This is what we look generally speaking. Hmm? ما علامة الإعراب الفرعية? What are the secondary endings في الأسماء الخمسة? Right? أسماء الخمسة مرفوع with a واو, منصوب with an alif, مجرور with a يا. الأسماء الخمسة علامة الرفع الواو. The مرفوع علامة is واو, وعلامة النصب ألف, and the منصوب علامة is ألف, وعلامة الجر الياء, and the مجرور علامة is الياء. Correct? This is what we learned, right? واو ألف ياء. جمع مذكر سالم. جمعي مذكر السالم in sound masculine plural it is una ina ina. So علامة الرفع الواو, علامة الجر والنصب الياء. علامة الرفع الواو, علامة النصب الياء, علامة الجر الياء. نعم. نصب and jar both are ya, sign of being mansub. المثنى, right? Duals ani aini, right? علامة الرفع ألف, وعلامة النصب الياء, علامة الجر also is ya. I hope it is clear. This is what is just revision of what we did last time. نعم. ما علامة الجر في الممنوع من الصرف? In ممنوع من الصرف, what is the sign of being مجرور? جر ending فتحة. correct. نعم. الفتحة, right? علامة الجر في الممنوع من الصرف الفتحة. نعم. It is not with a kasra. In dip tort, it becomes majroor with a fatha. Okay, 90% of the time you should get kasra if you're saying majroor. But for the dip torts, it is mansoob. ما علامة النصب في جمع مؤنث سالم? What is the mansoob ending in Jamma Muannas Salim? Mansoob, Nasb. Atin, correct. That's a kasra, right? Kasra. نعم. جمع مؤنث سالم it is كسرة. الكسرة. نعم. هاتي مثالا للمقصور. Give an example for مقصور. وجعله في ثلاث جمل على أن يكون مرفوعا في الأولى, and make them in three examples like مرفوع in the first one, ومنصوبا في الثانية, and منصوب in the second, and مجرورا في الثالثة, and مجرور in the ثالثة. So anyone remembers what is مقصور? Example of مقصور, any example? مقص موسى, correct. مقصود is Musa. So مرفوع in the first one جاء موسى. منصوب في الثانية you could say منصوب منصوب could be what example generally they give. سمعت. Okay, fine. سمعت موسى. سألت موسى, correct. سألت موسى, and مررت بموسى. I passed by Musa. مجرور. So all of the remaining it becomes منصوب. It remains the same. موسى موسى موسى. So what is the sign? علامة الرفع فتحة ضمة مقدرة, وعلامة النصب فتحة مقدرة, وعلامة الكسر كسرة مقدرة. Right? This is what we learned, right? Estimated, estimated, estimated. Instead of saying mabni, this is how we say for maqsoor. Maqsoor. They give fatha. خرج الفتى, سمعت الفتى, ذهبت إلى الفتى. The young man left. I heard the young man. I went to the man, the young man. Next. هاتي مثالا للمنقوص الثابت. الياء وأدخله في الثالث جمل. في الثلاث جمل على أن يكون مرفوعا في الأولى ومنصوبا في الثانية ومجروما في الثالثة. Right? Give three examples of منقوص and make them and enter it to make them مرفوع in the first one, second one, and majrur in the third one. So what is منقوص? Any example? منقوص example? No. Qadi. Yeah. الثابت الياء, that is Qadi, Al-Qadi. Qaf, we can remember that. Maqsoor also has a qaf. Naam. Manqus, Qadi, Madi. Naam. Yes, Madi, Qadi, Madi. So we have to make like Ja'al Qadi, Sa'altu. In Mansoob, the fatha comes back. Only in Mansoob. That's all it's same as Maqsoor. Sa'altul Qadiya, Marartu alal Qadi. It remains the same. So they give example. Ja'al Qadi, Ra'aytul Qadiya. This is the only exception. This is the only difference between this and this. Right? Ra'aytul Qadiya. The fatha comes back. Right? Waqultu lil Qadi. And I said to the Qadi. So the fatha comes out. Rest all is the same like Musa. Okay. Only in Mansoob it comes back. The fatha comes back. So you can say alamatul raf'i, file, right? This is so alamatul raf'i dammatun muqaddara wa alamatul nasbi fathatun zahira. Here we can see the fatha. Wa alamatul jarri, jar is wa alamatul jarri um, wa alamatul jarri kasratun muqaddara. نعم كسرة مقدرة. Okay. Next one. هاتي مثال المنقوص المحذوف الياء. Right here we should make the ya for you should remove the alif lam, that is right, the ya without the ya وادخلوه and then make them أن يكون مرفوعا في الأولى ومنصوبا ومنصوبا في الثانية ومجرورا في الثالثة. منقوص with in 3 sentences making marfu. So without the uh, without the alif lam. Naam. Without the alif lam. So it'll be Ja'a Qadin, right? Dakhala Qadin. See, it'll remain with kasras. This is what we learned right last time, if you remember. Sa'altu Qadiyan. Here it is Fatatun Zahira, but here it is Dhamma Muqaddara again. Dhahabtu ila Qadin. It remains the same. Like Maqsoor, it remains Fatan, Fatan, Fatan. Right? Like Ja'a Fatan, Sa'altu Fatan, Dhahabtu ila Fatan. That's it. It remains the same. Maqsoor. And manqus also remains the same. So a little tricky because maqsoor, manqus, it just makes it more confusing. And inshallah, don't worry about it. Inshallah, so much. Naam. Then we have ya mutakallim. Give 3 examples. Hati mithal al mudaf ila ya mutakallim. First lesson is a little difficult. The rest are also difficult, but not. I mean, it's just theory based. This and most of the books begin this way. Imagine starting this for the first time in the first class, right? Because most of the books, the classical Arabic books, are not written for non-Arabs, right? So they start with this. They explain kalam, kalima, what is a word. Naam, alhamdulillah. وَأَدْخِلُوا فِي سَلَاسِلٍ. So ya mutakallim examples. You can give anything. Jaddi, my grandfather came. Sa'altu Jaddi, I asked my grandfather. Marartu ala Jaddi. It remains the same, right? And here also it'll say muqaddara. So remember the 3 places where muqaddara comes: maqsoor, manqus, and ya mutakallim. Ya mutakallim. 3 places. You say it's estimated. Except when in manqus it is mansoob with a fatha. So this is dakhala khadin, sa'altu khadiyan, zahabtu ila khadin. Hada zamili, ra'aytu zamili, sallamtu ala zamili. This is ya mutakallim one. Because you cannot see the fatha da makasra, you will say it is estimated. Naam, it is estimated. A'rib ma tahtahu khattun. Give the i'rab of the following words. Yuhibbullah. So what it is? Anyone? Yuhibbullaha, Allahi, Allahu, al-muttaqina. This is fine. But this one, lafzul jalala, fatha. Sure. Anyone else? Dhamma, correct. Yuhibbullahu al-muttaqina. Allah is the one who loves the muttaqin. How do you know? Because if the muttaqin loved Allah, it would have been the fa'il una. Muttaquna. Yuhibbullah al-muttaquna. Naam. So this is dhamma. So what do you say? Allah. How can you give the i'rab of this? Lafzul jalala fa'ilun marfu'un um, wa alamatu raf'ihi dhammatun zahira. Naam. This is how you give. Just explaining like it's marfu. Why is it marfu? That's what i'rab is, right? You explain stuff. Hmm? It's file. That's why it's marfu. Like anyone can ask you a question. Why does Allah lafzul jalala have a dhamma? So you can say it's file, boss, and it is files are always fa'ilun marfu'un alamatu raf'i dhammatun zahira. Muttaqina. Can anyone muttaqina? You can say mafulun bihi. No, it's mafulun bihi. Some people put the mafulun bihi at the end. So they say al muttaqina mansubun wa alamatu nasbihi al ya. Right? It is mansub wa alamatu nasbihi al ya. لماذا الياء? Why is ya? لأنه جمع مذكر سالم مفعول به. They bring it at the end. مفعول به. Or you can say مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نصبه الياء لأنه جمع مذكر سالم وهي علامة فرعية. You can say that. نعم. This one. خلق الله السماوات والأرض. What comes here? Fatha dhamma kasra, and here what fatha dhamma kasra? What comes? As-samawat. What will come? Dhamma. Oh yeah, khalaqallahu, correct. Allah. It's not underlined, so naam. Lafzul jalala, Allahu. Naam. As-sama'at. What will come there? As-samawat. Kasra, correct. MashaAllah. Naam. Ahsant. Sahih. Samawati. Naam. It has alif lam, so no tanween. As-samawati. And then wal ard. Arda. Naam. Sahih. So this will be Naam. So let's look at the answers also. يحب الله المتقين. الله فاعل مرفوع. That is fine. وعلامة رفعه الضمة ظاهرة. المتقين مفعول به منصوب. It is مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نصبه الياء لأنه جمع مذكر سالم. See, this is how you answer. خلق الله السماوات والأرض. السماوات مفعول به منصوب. Yes, this is منصوب. Then why does it have a kasra? It is جمع مؤنث سالم وعلامة نصبها الكسرة. Why? لأنه because جمع مؤنث سالم. لأنه because it is جمع مؤنث سالم. Right? جمع مؤنث سالم never take a fatha. Never ever. It's never samawata. Never. Okay. الأرض, this is fine. مفعول به منصوب بالفتحة الظاهرة. مفعول به منصوب بالفتحة الظاهرة. Correct? صحيح. افتح فاك. Oh, open your mouth. فمك فاك. So when you drop the meme, it becomes faka. So fa fu fi. Right? Iftah faka. Okay. So how do you say this? This is of the 5 nouns. Asmaul khamsa. Naam alif, correct. So I was saying akhun, abun, zu, famun. Famun is mouth. But you need to drop the meme. It's actually fu. But they say famun. Like zu. Zu za zi fu fa fi. لأنه من الأسماء الخمسة. من الأسماء الخمسة. فاك فمفعول به منصوب. Open your mouth. It is مفعول به, the object. وعلامة نصبه الألف. The sign of being منصوب is ألف لأنه من الأسماء الخمسة. من الأسماء الخمسة. نعم. أين سيارة أبيك? Same here. This is مضاف إليه. I'm just going a little quickly now. أبي مضاف إليه مجرور because we talked about it a little bit. مجرور. It is مجرور because وعلامة جره الياء. Right? Sign is يا مجرور. And لأنه من الأسماء الخمسة. حفظت صورتين. صورتين, again this is dual. It is مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نصبه الياء لأنه مثنى. It is dual. آني أيني أيني. أعرف قاضي مكة. أعرف قاضي مكة. You can see the fatha here. Why we see? Because we learned, right? قادٍ, if it has alif lam, not alif lam. If it becomes mudaf and mudaf ilayhi, right? If it becomes mudaf and mudaf ilayhi and alif lam, these two reasons, the fatha will come back. So, arifu qadi makkata, no. Arifu qadiya makkata. It will come back because it is mudaf. Okay, these are exceptions. But if there was no Makkah, it would have been Arifu Qadin. Khalas. Arifu, yeah, Arifu Qadin. Correct, right? Because when it is like this, it's not Zahira. So this is why Manqus is little trickier all the time. See, oh, see, Qadiyan, yeah, Qadiyan. Yeah. Uh, So Arifu Khadiya Makkata. So the fatha comes back. Maf'ulun bi mansubun alamatu nasbihi al fathatun zahira li'annahu ismun manqus, because it is ismun manqus wa thabatat al ya, and the ya remains li'annahu mudaf, because it is mudaf. Right? So when it becomes mudaf and when alif lam is there, the ya comes back. He gave this in the footnote, right? That the ya comes back and so on. It's okay. I mean, it's not the big portion of the language side. Little tricky. Mm, خرج الجرحى من المستشفى. This is all مقصود مقصود. Right? جرحى من المستشفى. جو جرحى is the فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ضمة مقدرة. Right? It is file, it is مرفوع. Where's the ضمة? It's estimated. لأنه اسم مقصور, because it is اسم مقصور. Hmm. Hmm. And people add to it a lot also. منع من ظهورها التعذر. نعم. من المستشفى, this is the hospital again. مجرور بمن, right? It's مجرور بمن وعلامة جره كسرة مقدرة لأنه اسم مقصور, right? Because it's a مقصور noun. مستشفى. Try this exercise out on your own, right? Inshallah, and check your answers, right? Because this is requires a lot of remembering and understanding and comprehension. أخذ صديقي كتابي من حقيبتي. My friend took my book from my bag. See, this is all مقدرة مقدرة مقدرة, right? It's all مقدر. So أخذ صديقي, this is فاعل مرفوع وعلامة, right? فاعل مرفوع وعلامة رفعه ضمة مقدرة لأنه مضاف إلى يا متكلم, because it is مضاف to يا متكلم. This is also كتابي also مفعول به منصوب. This is مفعول به, right? منصوب علامة نصبه فتحة مقدرة, not ظاهرة, right? كتابي, because يا متكلم came, right? It will be like that. مقدر لأنه مضاف إلى يا متكلم. حقيبتي, again min came, so this is kasra, but still we say it is مقدر, right? لأنه مضاف إلى يا متكلم. I hope it is clear. واضح, نعم. Because it's a little difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, because you have to remember manqus, maqsoor, you have to remember asliya, far'iyya, you have to remember so many things which we did last time, right? Now, you have to identify which form it is, and then you have to analyze it, right? And this is a different level than book two, right? Um, and people get shocked when they come to book three. It just shocks you because there's so much. No. But this is the way book three is. Inshallah, it gets easier with time. That's why nobody teaches book three, generally speaking. We have few people who teach, but نعم. اشتريت هذا ب15 ريالا. But I feel book three is the real Arabic. You get the taste of Arabic in book three. You feel the happiness when you understand stuff. Now, like you feel in book two when you understand Amr, ifal, la tafal, and so on. That sweetness is something else. اشتريت هذا ب15 ريال. Again, this is مبني. This is fine. في محل B came, right? So في محل جر. Yeah. في محل جر مبني على فتح الجزئين لأنه عدد مركب. Right? It's مبني on the فتحة الجزئين. I mean, both of the parts are on فتحة لأنه عدد مركب, because it's a compound number. أنا محامٍ. أنا محامٍ, you might see the kasra and get confused. Why is it kasra here? Because this is manqus. Manqus. So this is khabar, right? This is khabar. This is mubtada. This is khabar. So khabarun marfu'un, right? This is khabar. This is marfu' wa alamatu raf'ihi, and the sign of being marfu', right? Dammatun muqaddara li'annahu ismun muqaddar ala liya al-mahzufa. We say on the ya which has ran away, which has disappeared, because it was actually muhami. right? So the Dhamma is not on this. Estimated Dhamma is not on this, right? It's not Muhamun. It was actually Muhamiyun. So we say Dhamma muqaddara ala ya'il mahzufa. Right? I could have gone a little slower on this, but alhamdulillah, I think that that's enough. Okay. So how much ever you understand, don't stress on it. It's not that big of a deal, because we are not here to do i'rab of the Quran, right? We are not here to like put patadama kasra on the Quran. No, we have the tashkil, we have the dabt in the Quran, right? All this is, just for knowledge, yeah, just for knowledge to understand. Like you might get confused many times, like why this kasra and so on. Then you can come back to this lesson. Okay, don't focus so much on this part, because this is for the Arab, like finding the file and so on. Alhamdulillah, it's good to do the Arab, but alhamdulillah, we should try, but it's not the end goal. The first goal should be understanding what's happening in the language, right? Now, right, so inshallah, try for 50 to 60% comprehension, because even I forgot all these things, right? After teaching like 2 3 times, I understood properly. I always used to get confused between manqus and maqsoor and so on. I like, fine, let's move ahead. Let's move ahead, and don't worry about it. Right? Inshallah, just keep moving ahead. Right? Al haraka. Right? Don't be sukun. Be a haraka. Movement. Okay. Next, he begins with al marfuat min al asma. He gives a whole list of marfuat min al asma. He leaves 2 or 3 of the marfuat. There are like 8 marfuat in the nouns. He brings 6 of them, so he'll drop 2. They're not so important. Let's see. Marfuat min al asma. What is he telling here? Whenever you see a noun as marfu, it has to come in these 6 places, 7 or 8. That is rare, but still in these 6 major places. Okay, 6 slots. There are like 6 slots for a marfu. You cannot bring anything else. There are 8, but still, out of these 8, you cannot put anything else. Right? If you're saying marfu, khalas, it should fit in one of the slot. Right? You cannot say, oh, there's something else which can be marfu. No, it cannot be. Okay, what's this? First one, the one number 1. What number 2? It is mubtada khabar. Al mubtada wal khabar marfu'ani, always marfu. Then you might get a doubt. How about jar majrur comes? Yes, for that also it is marfu, like ana fil baiti. So you might ask, where's the khabar? So you said khabar should always be marfu. So the people say it's actually ana mawjudun fil baiti. I am present in the house. But it's so used commonly and so on. So you drop the mawjudun, right? So so fil baiti is actually, there's a khabar hidden, and fil baiti is just telling you the place about. It's called zarfa. You can say, yeah, and so on, right? So mubtada khabar, like Allahu Akbar. Yeah, khabar is of 5 types again. Yeah, correct. The whole sentence also fi mahalli raf we say, like the whole khabar come. Can anyone give me an example? It's difficult example still of a khabar of a sentence. We learned this in book 1, but still. Khabar of a sentence. It's not there in English. That's why it's. I mean, it sounds weird in English. There's 5 types. Yes, there's one noun. There's jar majroor. There's zarf. 2 types of phrases, right? It's called shibu jumla. Shibu jumla is only of 2 types. There's jar majroor and zarf mudaf ilayhi, and then jumla ismiya and jumla fi'aliya. Right? I'll tell you a jumla ismiya example. Khalidun abuhu tajirun. So where's the khabar? Khalid is the mubtada. Abuhu tajirun is the sorry. Khalid is the mubtada. I said, right? Abuhu tajirun. The whole sentence is the khabar. Jumla ismiya. Fi mahalli rafa we say. Jumla also we say it's like mabni. So we say the whole sentence is taking the slot of the khabar. Then we break that. Abuhu, again. Abu is the mubtada. Wa huwa mudaf. Who is the mudaf ilayhi? Tajirun is the khabar. Okay. That's how. Right? So mubtada wal khabar marfu'ani da'iman are always marfu. Remember, mubtada and khabar. You might see jar majroor is mubtada, but it's not actually mubtada. They say shibu jumla is khabar. Yes, we learned that in the beginning stages that shibu jumla becomes the khabar, but no, there's a hidden word mawjudun. You could say Kainun, you can say, right? Which is marfu. Like ana fil bayti or Hamidun fil bayti, you say fi fil bayti jaz majur shibu jumla khabar. But people say no, that's beginning stuff, beginner stuff. Right? We didn't want to confuse people by saying there's a mawjudun hidden there. Or some say it's not mawjudun, it's a verb, istaqarra hidden there. Now, okay, shibu jumla. But I don't want people to learn all these things. Oh, there's a hidden khabar and so on. Uh, we can just say jal majur shibu jumla khabar. Khalas. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's just semantics. It's just it just names it. There's something hidden because they want to prove that khabar is always marfu. So that is why they want to say, ah, it is marfu. Now, alhamdulillah. That is agreed to the point, right? That is agreed, alhamdulillah. Right? Khabar al mubtada wal khabar are always marfu, right? Because if you think about it, fil baiti is not really the khabar, is not really the predicate. I'm in the house, it's just giving the location, right? I'm present in the house. Present should be the khabar. Right? That's just philosophy kind of. Alhamdulillah, it's fine, alhamdulillah. That's for advanced stages, right? So remember first and second, mubtada, khabar, marfu'an. Third, ismu kana is always marfu. Ismu kana, right? Book two. Ismu kana always marfu. Right? Like kana al babu maftuhan. So what is ismu kana? Babu al babu always marfu. Remember, like other verbs like the fa'ala and fa'alat, ismu kana can be mustatirun. It can be hidden also. So always marfu, always. Kana al babu, all hidden also. Like I can say kana maftuhan. So you'll say it was open. Kana maftuhan. So it became it. The huwa is hidden here. It's marfu. Huwa is again mabni because it's a damir, but fi mahalli rafa. Right? Fi mahalli rafa. Kana al babu maftuhan. Babu marfu always. Ismu kana is always marfu. Not khabar of kana. It will come in mansubat. Right? Because ism and khabar. So ism is marfu. In inna it's opposite, right? So that's why khabaru inna is marfu. Always. Khabaru inna, not the first word after inna, the second word after inna. Inna Allah ghafurun, marfu'un, right? Ghafurun. This is khabar of inna, right? Book 2, lesson 1. Inna, ismu inna, mubtada khabar. We no longer call it mubtada khabar. It is called nam, ismu inna and khabaru inna. Hmm? Inna Allah ghafurun. So this is just opposites, yeah? Ismu kana, khabaru inna. Al fa'il is always marfu. Al fa'il, the one who's doing the action. And like ismu kana and ismu inna also, but ismu inna cannot be hidden. We cannot, because it's not a fail. Kana is a verb, okay? It's fail naqis, we learned about it, right? It's an incomplete verb. Not the weak verb, it's incomplete verb. I mean, you don't get a complete meaning about it. Kana and his sisters, like he was what? It's not a verb kind of thing. It's just being, right? Inna, inna is a harf. So you cannot have hidden ismu inna. No, it's always innahu, innahuma. You need a pronoun or something. Yeah, we cannot hide it. So this is what, and file can be hidden like ismu kana. Yeah, incomplete in meaning. Yeah, naqis. There are two types of fail naqis. One incomplete in meaning, and the other is weak letter. Yeah, like ajwaf. What do you have? Mithal ajwaf and naqis. Those two things. Then we have khalaqana Allahu. Khalaqana Allahu. Which is the file here? Khalaqana Allahu. Lafd Allah lam. Lafdul jalala is the file. Right? Na is mafulun bihi. It's a damir, so we'll say fi mahalli nasb. Damirun mustatirun fi mahalli nasb khalaqna. Many people make this mistake while reading this. They say khalaqna Allahu. That changes the meaning. That means we created Allah. Na'udhu billah. Right? Because khalaqna is becomes like khalaqta, khalaqtuma, khalaqtum, khalaqti, khalaqtuma, khalaqtunna, khalaqtu, khalaqna. We created. But this is khalaqa. Khalaqna. Right? Khalaqana Allahu. Okay. Naam. You have to give a fatha because the meaning changes. Then we have naibul file. which is the deputy file, which we'll learn in the future, inshallah, in next lesson, I guess. Now, passive voice. So what happens in majhul, fail majhul, in a passive verb is that you change the pattern of the verb, like khalaqa becomes khuliqa, fu'ila pattern, right? You second last letter gets a kasra, khuliqa, and the object becomes the file, but it is not called file, it is called naib file, because the 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 reason for making a word passive, majhul, or it's also called fa'ilun ma lam yusamma, sorry, fi'lun ma lam yusamma fa'ilu, a fi'l whose file is not mentioned because you don't want to mention, or it is understood, or so on. Like khuliqal insanu, right? The human being was created min tinin, from clay. So khuliqa. So insan was actually the object, the maf'ulun bihi. But when a fail majhul comes, mabniyun lil majhul it is called, right? It's mabniyun lil majhul. There's mabniyun lil ma'lum. It is fixed, right? Fail madi is fixed anyways, right? So mabniyun lil majhul. It is fixed on majhul. Inshallah we'll learn in the future. Khuliqal insanu min teen. Right? They're like fixed pattern. It's always fu'ila. For three letter verbs, it's always fu'ila pattern. If you just remember fu'ila, it's fine. For mudara, it is yufalu. Like yukhlaqu. Yakhluqu becomes yukhlaqu. Always the same pattern. They're two patterns. Khalas. It's like easy. For three letters. Khuliqa. Like you can say fa'ala, fu'ila. Like daraba, he hit. Duriba, he was hit. The meaning changes. We don't know who hit. He was just hit by someone. Like I can say duribtu, I was hit. I don't know who hit me. Right? Duribtu fi dhalam, I was hit in the darkness. I don't know who that was. Or you can say suriqa. All right, suriqa kitabi, my book was stolen, because I don't know who stole. I cannot say saraqa hamidun kitabi. Right? So this is majhul. So they're like six. Okay, it's very easy to remember because there's file, naib file, opposites, ismukana, khabar. Sorry, not ismuka. Yeah, ismukana, khabar of inna, and mubtada khabar. Khalas, six. Anytime you see marfoo, it is this. There are two other ones also. I mean, not that important. Like after illa and so on, but still, this is what it is. Ismu kana mubtada khabar, ismu kana khabar of inna, right? Khabar of inna, and then two files, file, naib file. Khalas. Anytime you see dhamma or you see wow or whatever, it has to come in these slots. You cannot create a new slot in the sentence. It has to be the mubtada, it has to be file or naib file or ismu kana, or if inna comes khabar of inna, whatever. Yeah. What gives? These are marfuat in the nouns, fil asma, in the nouns. We're not talking about verbs as now because he brings into the next section of the verbs. Then we have mansoobat. This is the longest list. If this wouldn't have been, there would have been lesser to learn, but this is there. There are like 12 of them. He brings 11 of here. Right? 12 of them. He does not. What is naib file in number 6 sentence? Huh? A naib file is al insanu. This is a naib file, right? This is a naib file, al insan. The object changes. So it should have been khalaqallahu al-insana. We removed the file, that is Allah, lafzul jalala, we removed it and made it khuliqal insanu. So it's not, it's always like acts like a file. It's called naib file, deputy file. Naib means deputy. It's always marfu. Always remember the object gets changed into the, okay. In a skit, if the actor doesn't come, the director becomes the actor, like, or something like that. The audience becomes the actor, right? He's deputy actor, right? So daraba hamidun zaidan, Hamid hit Zaid, but we don't want to mention Hamid, right? We want, because if we say Hamid's name, he'll hit us, but we want to tell that person that Zaid was hit, take him to the hospital, right? We want to say, so we say duriba zaidun. We make him as the file, but it's called naib file. Duriba Zaidun, Zaid was hit. And we won't say Hamid hit because he might shoot us. Okay. Or you don't know who hit him. Right? So we say Duriba Zaidun, marfu. Okay. Because naib after that, If it takes two objects, then we make it like ata yuti. Inshallah, we learn. Both of them were mansub. So we make one nai file, make one as the deputy actor, and the remaining as the mafulun bihi. If you have two objects, like some verbs can take two objects, right, in the slot. Okay, al mansubat fil asma. This is a little tricky, but this is also easy because we have five mafuls, and like inna and kana will come, of course. There are five mafuls, huh? Mafailul khamsa, they're called. Mafailul khamsa, the five mafulun bihi. There's one mafulun bihi, mafulun fi, mafulun lahu, mafulun mutlaq, and mafulun li adlihi. There are five. Okay. We start with ismu inna. So anytime you see any word, ism is mansub, it has to come in these 11 slots. And we'll learn most of them in the future, because he doesn't teach it here. He just wants to give a list, right? So that you understand it has to come in these slots. Okay. Like ismu inna. Ismu inna. Inna allaha mansubun. Why? So anytime you say anything is mansub, you have to give these reasons. Why is it mansub? Because it is ismu inna. Inna allaha ghafurun. Right? Because it is ismu inna. Right? Khabaru kana. Right? Kana ta'amu lazizan. Why is it mansub? The food was tasty. Mansubun liannahu, because it is khabar of kana. Opposite of the other one, right? Opposite of the other one. Inna. Right? There we had khabar of inna, here ismu kana. Here it has ismu inna and khabar of kana. These two, it always comes here. It always comes. Nams al mafulun bihi, the five mafuls. Mafulun bihi, the objects, five objects. One, mafulun bihi, we learned fahimtu darsa, mansubun. Fahimtu darsa, I understood the lesson. Khalas, very easy. Mansubun alamatu nasbihi fathatun zahira. Mafulun bihi, bihi, bihi. Al mafulun fihi, this also we know it's zarf, right? Because there were two schools of thought. Some called it zarf, some called it Kufis and Basris. So one of those guys called it zarf, and one of those called mafulun fihi. It's the same thing. It's just the name difference. Mafulun fihi is zarf. Like safara abi laylan. So people might ask, why is this laylan mansub? We say zarf, or the other name is maful fihi. It's bihi. This is fihi. It tells you the time or place of the verb. So all these mafuls, they tell you something about the action, about the verb, right? Something like time or place or the way it is done, right? Safarabi laylan. What is laylan telling? It's telling the time. My father traveled at night. So mansub, all mafulun fihi. He gives the whole lesson for this, so don't worry about it. Jalas al mudarrisu indal mudiri. This is zarfu zaman, and this is makan. Inda al mudir. Inda, why is it mansub? You might ask. Oh, it is mafulin fihi. Inda. It's a zarf. Okay. The teacher sat near the principal. It's telling the place of it. Then al mafulun li ajlihi. And ajlihi, or it gives you the reason for the verb. Why are you doing that action? Inda is always fatha, correct? Yes. If see, zarfs are always mansub unless and until a harfu jar doesn't come before it, right? Min indika. If a harfu jar comes before it, it gets a kasra. It's not mabni, right? It's mansub. It's mu'arab. And the zarfs are mu'arab except few. Amsi, haysu, and so on. He gives a list, right? Ba'du zuruf. Okay, zarfs are mu'arab. They're fine. I mean, so if a harfu jar comes before it, min tahti. So tahta remains tahta except if harfu jar comes before it, right? Min tahtiha, under her or under it. Min indika, indi, it becomes indi because of min. It's not mabni, huh? Inda is always inda except if harfu jar comes before it. Tahta also, amama also. Min amamika, in front of you, right? Right? Qutil akhi amamak, my brother was killed in front of you. Something. Ajlihi, it's also called maf'ulun lahu. So it has two names, huh? Lahu or li ajlihi. Ajl is reason, right? It tells you why an action took place, the reason. Why did you kill him? Qataltuhu intiqaman. I killed him revengefully. right? For revenge, intiqaman, something like that. Like ma kharajtu min al bayti, I did not. He has a whole lesson for this also, right? Inshallah, don't worry. I did not leave from the house khawfan, fearing min al har, right? Fearing the heat, right, of the summer. It's so hot. I did not go out. So it gives you the reason. Khawfan. Why is it mansub? Maf'ulun lahu or li ajlihi. Maf'ul lahu is fine. Maf'ul lahu or li ajlihi. It gives you the reason of the action. So one is telling time, time or place. So it's one, and then reason. Maf'ulun bihi is the direct object, right? Maf'ulun bihi. Al maf'ulu ma'hu tells you that along with something, like the action is taking place along with some place or something, like sirtu wal jabala, right? Wal jabala. So this is maf'ulun ma'hu. Like I travel, Sara yasiru is to travel. I travel along the mountain. It was actually I traveled and the mountain traveled, kind of. But the mountain doesn't travel. We know that, right? It's a huge mountain range. Sirtu al qamara. I travel and the moon traveled, but the moon doesn't travel. It's there, I mean, right? So it's called mafu. It's very rare. Maful mahu is very rare. I mean, you find it hardly. Maful mahu. So at least he's there, not that much, but still there. Maful fi is very common. Maful bihi is very common. These two are rare. Maful mutlaq is also very common. Hmm. Like ilab wa bilalan, right? You play and Bilal play. So instead of saying ilab anta wa ma bilalin, instead of using the word ma, like I can say sirtu ma'al jibali. I could say that. Sirtu, that's why it's called ma'ahu. That means with the action. I could have used the word ma, but I don't want to use. This is the way I use without using ma. Like ilab, you play wa bilalan. That is, you play with Bilal. And Bilal doesn't mean and here. It means with Bilal because that Mansoob tells you that it is with ma. Okay, inshallah, this also we have a lesson for it. Okay, don't worry about it. Maf'ulun ma'ahu. So one time place, the other reason, the other is third one, the fourth one actually, because the first one didn't get this was. Ma'ahu tells you about like I traveled along the mountain or with the mountain. So instead of using the word ma, we use wa and make it mansub. Like ilab, play, wa bilalan. That means you play and Bilal. Doesn't mean that. No, it means you play with Bilal. Right? By also is correct. Yes, by the mountain. I traveled by the mountain. Correct. Naam. So this ma'ahu gives you a meaning of with, ma'iyya. Okay. This is the way of them telling. It's like eloquent way of telling. So wow is used, yes. Right? Right? Izhab wa hamidan. That means what? You go with Hamid. Yes. Izhab wa hamidan. You go with Hamid. Naam. That's how they say. Naam. It's just a short form saying Izhab ma hamidin. They said I don't want to use ma. So very rare, huh? Mahu is very rare. Then mafulun mutlaq. This is again not there in English. Mutlaq also. Why is it called mutlaq? Absolute maful. Because everything, has bihi or fihi or liadlihi, mahu. Mutlaq is like absolute. It doesn't require anything. Right? Why did you use this mutlaq? Why do you have absolute object? We have a whole lesson for maful mutlaq also. One, to stress that word. Hmm? To stress that word, jiddan, yes. To stress it like uh, darabtuhu darban shadidan. I hit him a strong hitting, right? I don't know if it's used in English, but in Urdu we use it. Uh, मैं उसको ऐसी मार मारा like Hyderabadi. We say ऐसी मार मारा like कैसी मार ऐसी मार पूरा चिन्निया कर दिया, right? So that is used in Hyderabad, right? So uh, mutlaq is used, right? Mm. Um, in English, I don't know how to give an example if it's used or not, right? No, we don't use it. Right? I hit him with a severe beating, right? With a severe beating, right? Severe is giving, right? So they use the same master of the same word, right? So a verb comes, comes, then you use the master of the same word, right? Darabtuhu darb. Darb is the same meaning, or you can use a similar word which gives the same meaning, right? Like jalastu qu'udan. I sat a perfect sitting, right? Perfectly I sat. Or it could give you a number also. He has a whole lesson for maf'ul mutlaq. It could tell you a number of times. Like tubi al kitabu tab'atain. This book was printed 2 times. So the tab'atain gives you number. Or it could give you a manner of doing the action. Manner. Like idlit jilsa talib al ilm. Jilsa is used for alert pattern. Like sit like a talib al ilm. Like sit properly. Right? Don't sit here and there. Don't raise your legs and so on. Right? So like يقرأ حامد قراءة جيدة. This is now, right? Telling you the type. Hamid read. What type of reading did he read? A beautiful reading. Jayyid is like awesome. مرة أخرى. نعم. Once again, should I repeat? Maful mutlaq is what you mean. Huh? Or marratan is also maful mutlaq, you say? Yeah, I think, yeah. Correct. Sometimes you can delete. Yeah. Marratan ukhra is also. Sometimes that means repeat once again. So I think it's not mafulun bihi, maful mutlaq, it's mafulun bihi from what I know. Because you're deleting the verb repeat. Aid marratan ukhra, you could say. Like shukran. 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 What is shukran? Why is it mansub? Naam shukran. Why is it mansub? So it's actually ashkuruka shukran. I thank you a good thanking. Yeah, jazilan. Yeah, shukran jazilan. Shukran. Khalas. Jiddan. Jiddan is also what? You're deleting a verb before it. So we learn all this about mutlaq, maful mutlaq, and it's a little difficult to understand because it's not there. It comes in the Quran a lot of time. فَمَزَّقْنَاهُمْ كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ. We destroyed them, we tore them, mazzaqa, destroy them, like complete destroying. You understand? Complete, كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ. Right? So, like the Persian Empire, it was broken. The Prophet ﷺ, he tore my letter, his empire will be torn. Kulla mumazzaq. Right? Kulla is used as a naibul. It's like you can use kulla or yeah, it tells you portion also. Right? Akaltu nisfa biryani, yeah? Half of it. So nisfa, why is it mansub? Because it's mafulun mutlaq, naib. So there's a lot of reasons and so on, mutlaq. A little tricky to understand, but it comes in the Quran. Like you find the same verb, and after that, then we have hal. Hal, right? Hal. Hal tells you the state of the action, the state. Like he came riding. Jaddi yusalli qa'idan. My grandfather prays sitting. Right? We have a hal and zulhal. We have all these reasons. Why is it mansub? He came like Ja Hamidun. Hamid came. How did he come? Mashian, walking? No. He came rakiban. He is riding. He came on a horse or a bike or something. It tells you hal. Right? Hal. Hal janab ka it tells you. Hal. Jaddi yusalli qa'idan. This is hal. So see, we have 5 mafuls. Qa'idan is the hal. Naam. It tells you the state in which the action is occurring. Naam. So 5 maful. Ismu inna khabal kana 5 maful. Mafail al khamsa. Then we have al hal. Hal also tells you state. Like what state. Sometimes the whole sentence can come as hal. And we learn in the next lesson itself. We use vowel haliya. All right. Like this. Dakhaltul masjida wal imamu yarka'u. I entered the masjid and the imam, while the imam was doing ruku'. Right. But as khaidan is mansub because of object. No, it is not the object. No. Salla yusalli doesn't take an object. It's not object. It is. Laylan tells you the time. No. It's not hal. It's not hal. It's time. And khaidan is not object. He prayed on sitting. Naam. Anything which tells you time is fihi. Object means what? Your action should be transferred to that person or thing. Praying transferred on sitting? No, right? It's not the object. No. It says how he prayed. Right? Object like daraba, hitting, eating, it gets transferred. But praying doesn't get transferred. It's lazim. It's not mutaddi. Yeah, it'll take time to grasp all. He has all lessons, huh? Don't worry about it. He does not refer to it until lesson. All this will come in ending of the book, right? Ending of the book. Okay, you might forget all this also. So don't worry about it. He's just trying to tell you the whole summary of the language. The whole language fits in this box. Then you have tamiz. Tamiz also comes for various reasons. Tamiz comes for removing doubt, right? This is just an intro to the book, right? So don't worry. It just does the intro sequence. Now, like ana akbaru minka sinnan, right? I'm elder to you in age. I could be elder to you in knowledge, in malan, in money, anything. Yeah. So it comes to remove izalatil ibham, to remove the doubt. And we know specific places where tamiz come, like after come, like ismut tafdil. Yeah, if you're comparing two things, it would come after measurement, kilometran. There are several types of tamiz also, and so on. It has a whole lesson. Okay, tamiz, but tamiz, it has a whole lesson for tamiz. Now a tamiz, there's a whole lesson for it. Then you have mustathna. Again, this is also this is a little difficult. Mustathna, exception, right? When it becomes there's tam mujab and tam ghayru mujab. Okay, it has a whole list of it. Like illa, after illa, should it be mansoob or marfoo? There's a whole list of it. Like hadarat tullab kullum illa hamidan, right? Why is this mansoob now after illa? Then why is it not la ilaha illallahu? Why? So there's reasons like there's tam. Is it tam that is mustasna minhu is mentioned or not? Yes, it is mentioned. So it is tam. Is it mujab or ghairu mujab? It is mujab. That is it a positive sentence or a negative sentence? Hmm? It is a positive sentence. So anytime you get a positive sentence and the mustasna minhu, that is the bigger group is mentioned, then you have to make it mansoob. Hmm? But if it is ghairu mujab, then you have a choice. Like la ilaha illallahu, you can say illallaha or illallahu, there's a choice, right? It's ghair mujab. TN, right? That is, it's you have a choice. What is non-positive? Like if it's nafi or nahi or istifam, we'll learn all this inshallah. There's mustasna. But generally, if you see a positive sentence, then make it mansub. Right? That's what it is. This is positive, right? There's no la, there's no ma, and whatever. It's not a question, it's a mujab. So this is again mustathna. Then munada. Munada, when if after the harfu nida, when you're calling someone and it is mudaf and mudaf ilayhi, then it becomes mansub. Only if it is mudaf and mudaf ilayhi. Like Muhammadun, if you add ya, it becomes ya Muhammadu. We drop the tanween. But here, Abdullah, we can it will become mansub. Ya Abdallahi. Right? Ya Abdallahi. نعم يا أبا بكر يا ربنا. It was actually ربنا مضاف مضاف إليه, right? With the ضمير it became يا ربنا يا عبد الله. Yeah, I told this before. It came in the lesson there. I didn't tell it before. It came in the books. Now, so we learn all these things. مفعول به فيه إدله. It's just daunting because there's a lot. It's just a lot. You have to remember so many rules and regulations, and this comes because of this reason, this reason, this reason. Don't worry about it, right? This is all again. I'm telling. This is not. Uh, uh, it's helpful for Arab. Like qaidan, you understand the sentence, right? Jaddi yusalli qaidan. My grandfather prays sitting. You understand the sentence. Okay, you might not understand that's hal or whatever, right? But it doesn't matter. All these things, even if you know, it just helps you give it a good understanding. Like you can read any sentence here and you can understand it, except maybe this sirtu wal jabala. Maybe this is a little tricky. What does this mean? I traveled and the mountain. You might get confused, but everything else you can, like yaqra'u hamidun qira'atan jayyidatan. You can understand without even knowing all this stuff, right? Hamid reads a good recitation, yeah, with good reading. You can understand without even knowing all this stuff. So this is all, it's there in the language and we are trying to understand it. And inshallah, it'll give you a more understanding if you understand. If you don't, it's fine. Inshallah, because they have their own lessons. And it takes a lot of time to understand because maful mutlaq, it took, I was like confused all the time. Right? It took me a lot of time to understand. Okay, okay, okay. When I taught it twice or thrice, and this is the third time I'm teaching book three. Right? So after teaching twice, I understood. Inshallah, next batch I'll understand more better if we have a batch. Okay, majrurat are only two. Are only two. Majrurat min al asma are only two, and this is what we will end on today. And it is mudaf ilayhi, which we already did. Al Quranu kitabullahi mudaf ilayhi. Lafzul jalala mudaf ilayhi wa alamatu jarhi kasratun zahira. And al masbuq bi harfi jar, right? Which is preceded. Masbuq is which precedes. I mean, which is preceded by a harfu jar. You have a prefix as a harfu jar. I mean, before it. At-tullabu fil fasli. So al-fasl is masbuq bi harfi jar. I mean, you get a harfu jar. So it is majroor with a kasra. This is our majrurat in min asma. Very easy majrurat. We just, so remember, that's why in the book one, he tackled all the majrurat because there are only two. In lesson 4 in book 1, if you remember, we did jar majroor. And lesson 5, he taught us mudaf mudaf ilayh. Alright? He gave us all these two. Then in book 2, he started with inna and then he went to kana. He taught us mafulun bihi. He didn't teach us all this because he thought people won't understand this in that state. He taught us munada, but he didn't teach all this. While in this mubtada khabar, he taught us kana, inna also, file also taught. He didn't teach us this. Right? So alhamdulillah, most of the mansubat we didn't study. But most of the marfuat we did study, and majrurat totally we studied. Right? So mudaf ilayh is nothing new, right? And harfu jar is also nothing new. Jar majrur, shibu jumla, right? So it's nothing new, right? Inshallah, we have tawabe. Inshallah, we'll do it in the next. Oh, I'll finish it. Inshallah, I think you should finish it, or maybe okay, we'll do it next class. Inshallah, because it's just 2 pages. We can do it. Then we have verbs. We'll focus on verbs and we'll try to understand them. Inshallah, verbs are very easy because fail madin, fail amrin, mabni yani. Right? Fail madi and fail amr are always mabni. Fail mudariun, mu'rabun. It's mudari, which is problem. And then in the mudari also naqis is a problem because you can't see the ending. Like masha, where's the dhamma? Right? So it's a muqaddara. It's like same thing as manqus, al-fail naqis and so on. And then al-i'rab al-taqdiri, he summarizes this in i'rab taqdiri in naqis. Then we have exercises again. So we might finish it next class, and then we have vocabulary for all these things. Right, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallahu khairan. So we have to do a tawabi'. We'll continue from tawabi' next class. Right, so we might finish it, or we might need another class next week. Jazakallahu khairan. But this is lesson 1, just the third part of it. Right, so 4 parts or 5, 4 parts. I think we can finish it, inshallah ta'ala. جزاك الله خيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله